We are pleasantly back with you on Your Image, your public relations program on TV. I'm Akin Kudero, your anchor. It's a good welcome after Salah celebration, and I want to welcome, do I call it Alaji Daud Olatuji for being on the program. It's a pleasure welcoming you.
Thank you so much.
I also have Daud Olatunji is the publisher, Platform Times, and he's a notable publisher, a notable journalist in Ogun State and in Nigeria. You are humbly welcome.
Thank you, sir, for having me, sir.
It's a pleasure. I also have my man, our man, the man who is a veteran journalist, also a man who has also been the terrain of public relations. He was the former deputy editor-in-chief of a news agency of Nigeria. You are heartily welcome.
Well, thank you very much, the anchor of this program, and my very good brother and colleague, Daud. We've been together on several programs. I don't know that we're going to be...
Well, it's nice. You know, we just celebrated Salah. Yeah. I feel that bringing both of you together...
In the true spirit of Salah.
I feel at home seeing my guy.
Well, this is celebrating June 12th. This is celebrating MKO Abiola, Moshood Kashimao, Olamide Abiola, the great presidential candidate, the one that his mandate was annulled, and which Nigeria is always celebrating, and it will be for life. The topic is MKO Abiola, democracy, and June 12 issues. Well, my guess, if you look back, we remember in 1993, there were issues on the election that was regarded as the most open, fairest, and freest in the nation. Particularly, maybe I want to say in Africa. But unfortunately, something happened. When you look back, what was the feeling at that time? And what has been the gain? Connecting Abiola, democracy, and other issues.
Well, thank you very much. I must say that the June 12 annulment of the June 12 1993 election remains a watershed and a turning point in the political history of this country. Everybody was taken by storm. It was the event of that day and of that year was prodigious, was so enormous that if everybody's heart was virtually in their mouths. And that event, I want to say that it really shook this country to its real foundation, to its fabrics. That in the whole, I'm not sure that in any part of the world, such an election, such a mandate was annulled anywhere in the world. But Nigeria made name in a negative way internationally by being a nation, that put knife, on the neck of democracy, which we were, of course, being relaunched into in 1993. I must say that that annulment in itself has really deepened ethnic and regional fault lines across the country. Till today, reconciliation and unity among all the ethnic nationalities in the country has become a major issue, has become a serious concern. And so, as a journalist, at that time, covering the events of June 12, even the elections of 1993, we were dazed, we were traumatized, and we were subjected to a lot of stress, because under the military then, you couldn't ply your trade. I could recall many media houses that were clamped down, that were closed. Okay? And I could recall vividly too that journalists were in the forefront of having that election in place so that the military, we can say bye-bye to the military, we can bid them forever farewell to their barracks. And we were deceived as a nation by the Maradonic maneuver of the then military head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. It was something that we all thought this man meant well for the country, as it were. You know, he tried to restructure the country from a multi-party system to a two-party system. And at that time we had the SDP, that is Social Democratic Party, and then the NRC, National Republican Convention. Yes. So, and ABIOLA being the flag bearer of that election, it was to square it out, to square up with TOFA of the NRC. But you see, ABIOLA being a man who lived larger than life, who has, of course, coming from the trajectory of being a good man, who has touched lives across the country, in the north, in the south, anywhere. If we want to talk about institutions, higher institutions at that time that we will go and, you know, donate. As at that time, we are talking of early 90s, 1 million naira where any that they are doing in the adoption. Now, coming to this annulment that we are talking about, you see, that, like you said, that election will have been the fairest that will have entered the Guinness Book of Record anywhere, that Nigeria actually made it. Again, like I said, I don't know what really happened that took hold of those in power then, that made them to truncate that process. Well, now, coming to the issue, that the second leg of the question, that the benefits or whatever, the gains of June 12. Yes, quite a lot of gains, which I believe they are there. For example, the man who won that election, June 12, 1993, because that was confirmed by Brian Babangida maybe about 2 months ago when he launched his book in Abuja, that ABIOLA won that election. Now, one of the gains is that now, that democracy that he fought for, and he paid for it with his own life, it became a sacrificial lamb for this country to enjoy democracy. We've been enjoying that democracy unbroken since 1999. That is about 26 years ago. 2, the consciousness, it has further raised the consciousness of Nigerians that we need to participate, that the democracy we have should be a participatory one. And then thirdly, it has also opened the political space. It has further, widened the political space for people to have more players, in party politics. Moving away from a two-party structure to multi-party system of the democracy. Now, then, under that too, because of we're talking of the gains, we have what we call not unfettered freedom for the media, because we still have some issues, but at least we can boast fairly that we are enjoying, press freedom to an extent.
Well, thank you very much for those contributions. Daud, you were young, you were a student, and can you capture the feelings of the youth, the expectation as at that time, and what was their dream, which they envisaged Nigeria would be? Can you capture?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. As we were talking, I was just doing a kind of flashback to that day, that period. The youth were more affected.
How?
because they got inspired by this the song for the campaign of that MK Abiola on the march campaign again. Slogan. Everybody looking for Mr. President, and the perception was that we have found a Messiah, somebody who is going to emancipate us. We have seen a kind of slavery, and we have also seen in Abiola messianic figure that is coming to emancipate even the youth. Because anytime some of these campaign grounds, he talk more on his program for the youth. He talk more on the future for the country. He talk more on transparency. And as a student and accountability, thank you, sir. And as a student and belonging to that very versatile sector in the population, the youths, we all love that Abiola should be the president. We thought that his presidency would definitely give us that that feature. But then we believe that we didn't have that feature, and we have found a man who is going to make our feature realizable. And then when the information filter that the election has been announced, that is why when you recall that majority of the activities, especially the protests, all those stuff were orchestrated, were championed by the youth, because we felt like our future was at stake, and we felt very, very bad. And when you also look at the personality of MK Abiola, you see, out of 6 million voters, he got 4.3 million. Tova got 2.3 million. And he has won 19 out of 30, according to Enfrenowosu. And
about 58% to 41%.
Thank you. So we were happy, we were anxious that, okay, our Messiah is, getting closer into that office. Because when you also listen to Abiola, he had program for the youth. He had program, and we were waiting for that implementation of that. So we were much more pained. We were much more affected, and we felt that pain in our bone marrow. That is why I don't think many youth in Nigeria will forgive IBB. I don't think. Well, I've read his book.
The environment was conducive for a very free
I tell you, sir, I remember my late dad was commissioned by NRC shifting to do a prayer on Friday. They pray for Tofa. They work for Abiola. You don't understand. Because you are far, the commission, they okay, pray for us. Tofa should become the president. Okay? But, when you pray, but you know that yes, we have asked God to do this, but our belief is this. Once I monitor it, on the following day, they voted for Abiola. Despite that, they're talking about vote buying. It occurred on that day. But many people voted Abiola not because of money.
No, it was an even open.
Because I saw, at that time, I saw people collecting money.
But not for
Abiola again, not for Abiola. I'm saying that many people that voted Abiola, they didn't do it because of being induced. But when you now look at it today, but what is paining me is that the youth of the then youth have now been leaders. Have become leaders now. So we have to now look at it that, okay, if it's true that we felt that pain and we thought that our future could not be, ascertained and all those stuff. Now that the fate has made some of the youths to now take over government, why and what is really happening? So when we talk about how we felt very bad greatly. And we have concluded that the only person that could do it for us, and when you also look at the personality of MK Abiola, you see that he was a Muslim that was loved by all, a Yoruba man that was loved by Hausa, Igbo, and all. So the election went beyond ethnicity, tribe, and religion. And we are still looking for that kind of personality. And you've also observed 2023 election, something like that was stigma, was also what's it called? Reenacted. But you now see, now compare that, they didn't raise much noise. Kingibe and Abiola Kingibe, that will now know that serious much of Muslim ticket. But it was tug of war in 2023 election.
Thank you very much. I want to look at the speech of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the National Assembly, the joint sitting of the National Assembly. And are you seeing any feeling of assuaging the pains from the speech? That is one. And what do you think the family has benefited? What has been a way to assuage their own feeling too, having their man to have lost that opportunity of ruling the country? And then you can see, in your own assessment, how do you now feel? Has government been able to do something to ameliorate the losses, the emotional stress, and the like? So I want you to address that.
Yes, largely, I want to say that I listened, to the presidential State of the Nation address by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yes, I must commend him for having a long list of honorees cutting across professions, politics, judiciary, education, and all of that.
Too.
Even the media, yes, and even the so he tried to look at how to balance the national honors, and the list is so long, including strikingly we have Femi Falana, you have Kudirat Abiola, you have Koka, Reverend Matthew Koka, yeah, Catholic Archbishop of Sokoto. You have Professor Professor Balaji Akiyemi. You have some journalists, Bayo Onanuga, the current presidential spokesman to President to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So the president has done well, to look at how to balance it, to give everybody, honor, national honor, CFR, OFR, GCM, and all of that. And I believe that it's a very right step in the right direction. But however, I think compensation should still be paid, to families of these people that lost their lives in that June 12 crisis. Because it's not even enough to say, okay, we give them posthumous and all of that. To cut short the life of somebody, in the prime of their youth, some of them in their old age, like Papa Riwani, because among those Afeni Feritu that also put their lives on the line. Baba Abraham Adesoya, Ayo Adebanjo, and all of those, Hebrew and all of that. So I think something should be done so that in future, anyone who wants to think, who wants to go that route, who wants to do that, will look at the cost on the nation's because one, look at the Abiola family, for example. I'm not too happy that federal, state, and the local government they've deserted and disappointed the Abiola family. How? The appointments, maybe our Ogun State government gave Costello appointment, here in Ogun State, maybe a special assistant or something. Yes. But Abiola has sons, Deji Abiola, Kola Abiola, and many others like that, who could be facilitated or lured to contest election on the platform of any other of this party, maybe as House of Rep or into Senate, or even be appointed as minister. Look at the figure, the personality of M.K. Abiola. Shouldn't a minister, come from that family, so that it can give any of those children leverage, political leverage, to launch themselves into national politics, so that in future they can also raise their head and say, I want to contest governorship of my state. I want to contest as president of Nigeria.
ABIOLA contested in the last dispensation.
Yes, but I'm saying that were they really supported? No. They didn't. Now, looking at some of these things that I'm looking at, then the ABIOLA is still being owed some billions of naira, which I believe this government, I believe that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he doesn't need to announce that in his speech. They must be able to settle ABIOLA family and pay the money they are owing him and pay the family, because it is not something that is we should allow to just go that way. For us as a nation, we must be able to compensate the ABIOLA family and then make sure that finally to say that, well, the people who put their lives on the line regarding June 12, there should be a National Hall of Fame which they will be inducted into with their pictures, with their biodata, everything there, so that it will be like a museum, so that people will not be able to forget it. It must be done in the state here, which is a state, and done at the national level.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, and I believe that in the right quarters they are listening to you. Well, Daud, you want to look at the current scenario and how are we faring in Nigeria? The ordinary citizen, are they benefiting from this struggle?
It's a mixed reaction. It's yes and no.
Okay.
There are people that are benefiting, but when we now compare the number, so it's very, very small compared to the large populace. But when you also want to now put it on the average, you now see that many people are not benefiting from this struggle. And why? They said democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. If democracy is a government of the people, who are those people? We have to find out. By the people. Which people are they talking about? And then for the people. We have to now look at it. Okay, if this is the definition of democracy, which now domesticate it in Nigeria, who are the people that this government is meant for? Who are the people that are benefiting from this government?
The government should be for all.
Inclusiveness. So the government generally in Nigeria has not passed that test. Because we want a kind of government that will look beyond party politics. Once he's sworn in, you forget about that partisanship. If the best person can be found in PDP, because it is about the nation, it should be, encouraged. It should have courage, be courageous enough to say, okay, I want to go beyond my party line. Let's pick Patutomi, for instance. Let's pick all these people, so Ludo in Anambra, all those stuff. Okay, let's pick these people. Yeah, they are not in my party.
Certain people were selected from other parties.
Definitely, but what are the criteria? If there need for us to go beyond that is a member of our party, we have to look at, okay, we want to position the nation. It's about development of the nation. Let everybody contribute. Let all hands be on deck. If you want development in the country, once the winner has been declared, I think party politics should be de-emphasized.
It shouldn't be the issue of patronage.
So the issue of unity, government of unity, should be sustained. So if you can find a best economist in Labour Party, if for instance we feel like Peter Obi is good in an aspect, we should forget about his political affiliation. If you believe that article can be very good for us, why can't we go beyond party politics?
Well, you've heard us. That has been a serious and a very meaningful contribution from my guest. Time is seriously against us, and I can't take any other question. So I really want to thank you, Dele Akishola.
Thank you for having me.
Deputy Editor-in-Chief, News Agency of Nigeria. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you very much. My namesake.
Daud Olatuji, it's a pleasure also having you. You have represented the youth, and I still believe that you are still carrying out the youth enthusiasm. Well, until another week when we come again. I'm Akin Kudero, your anchor on Your Image, your PR program. Bye.